Hi friends, I'm here. I woke up. I'm going for the day. We had our second dance show last night. Shout out to Hillary at High Image Dance. She put together an amazing show. I found myself so many times watching it just almost wanting to cry at what I was observing. It's kids of all ages, you know, showing what they've worked on for the semester, and it's just wonderful. Once I've gotten everybody ready and everything, I love the moment when I can sit down and think this is going to be a great show tonight. And of course the girls always look forward to it too. The costumes are great, and it's just a really great thing that our area has this. So that was last night. It was the second night of their performances, and I'm up here this morning to do a little different kind of video. I put it down on a post-it note, the various things I wanted to talk about. It's very random. It's just kind of like some things that I've observed or some follow-ups, maybe a few certain little things I've learned makeup wise. I don't know. This video is the makeup background noise in my head. These are the thoughts I have, like driving somewhere or taking a shower or doing whatever. Like, these will be the things that pop into my head. I don't have my makeup on yet, and there might just be a couple of times in this that I'm putting something on to demonstrate it to you, you know, but this is not a full face kind of video. But one thing I want to say, this Blemish Breakthrough from e.l.f., this acne fighting spot gel, it's a salicylic acid thing. It's from e.l.f. and it really works. I know I've talked about it before, like, oh, I like this stuff. It really does work. It's a very good kind of invisible treatment for small little things. You know, you just wake up and like, oh, there's just a tiny little surface level blemish somewhere. You put this on under your makeup and it really works. Like by the end of the next day, you'll be like, okay, that thing is totally gone. And it left while I was wearing a full face of makeup and just rolled this stuff on it. So I don't know. I recommend it. It's rollerball. It's super liquidy. It's a very underrated part of my skincare. Also, these new Thirst Burst drops from e.l.f. They've got the hibiscus complex and the niacinamide, kind of a hot item right now, it feels like. I would say use them sparingly. Use just a little bit, really. Like I'm doing half a pump today. And I have a normal skin type, but that little bit spreads a long way. And if I were extra dry, you know, maybe I would go with extra. But a little bit I feel like can have a very positive effect on my staying power. But if I get too much on, like I really will, I think, look oilier quicker through the day than I normally would. A little bit is enough to leave my skin looking absolutely dewy pre-makeup. And I just want to say that because I think a full pump of this is more than I need. Unless, you know, let's say I get a little bit of sun, maybe I got a sunburn going and my skin is feeling that, you know, summertime dryness, then yeah, throw on a little extra. But for everyday makeup wear under makeup, I feel like less is more with this one if I want to get good staying power all day. Next up, let's talk about L'Oreal products, okay? If you're not on TikTok, if you're not taking in content from that space, I need to fill you in a little bit. There is a makeup artist on there. Her name is Shelby Ann. I think her full name is Shelby Ann Bell. And she does some great makeup videos. She has done some great different like face routines and different things. She's the one who encourages like putting on a little more makeup and has really been highly influential on that app in terms of product recommendations. I've tried some of the methods and talked about them here on my channel that she's discussed, and I really enjoy her. And she's definitely a person who's, you know, getting there on camera and talking about things, but she's also dealing with lots of different faces and ages, working with lots of people as a makeup artist to back up a lot of her recommendations. But what has really taken off from her lately are her drugstore recommendations for like a full face. And her whole thing is, no, it's not a filter. Like people will think it's a filter, but it's not. And her recommendations, L'Oreal True Match. She always talks about L'Oreal True Match. There have been much newer foundations come out, even just from L'Oreal, but she's big on the L'Oreal True Match, and she also recommends the Infallible Concealer that they make. So that's L'Oreal's real full coverage concealer. And anytime I hear her talk about this, I'm like, you know, really? I kind of like the nude hyaluronic tinted serum better. And like True Match has never really spoken to me in a huge way. It's a very thin, very light foundation, but I tell you what, I was using it the other day. I got these products because of her, because I just wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy, because I always thought this concealer worked well, but I wasn't like, whoa, above and beyond. And this foundation, I've just never been like mind blown by it, right? But I used those two products in combination yesterday and my skin looked great. And it looked great really all throughout the day. I needed a little powder touch up at the end, but it was pretty darn good. I do own a L'Oreal True Match already, and it's too light, and this shade is probably, like, it'll probably be good for summer, but currently it's maybe just a tinge dark. It's N4, but I thought I would put this combo on and just show you, like, there is something to this. Now the concealer is right up there, I think. If it continues to wear the way it did yesterday, very much like Revlon Color Stay Flex Wear, very much like NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop. Super full coverage, and it did not look heavy on me, and I had set it with powder. So I guess my takeaway here in this video, what I'm saying is respect. I have respect for these recommendations. I'm gonna pump some out here. A full pump of True Match gives you a lot, by the way. I'm gonna dab it around. As I dab it around, it doesn't really seem like, whoa, that shade's super off, but it's just a little dark. Meant to wet my beauty blender, just a second. Okay, I'm back. And I'm just gonna take this e.l.f. sponge and tap this in. And it's not a full coverage foundation at all. Medium coverage, and I feel like if you really just went light with it, you could probably turn out a light coverage just with the most minimal amount applied. I think I did 3/4 of a pump. Looking light, evening out the skin, and in the interest of getting really good staying power looks, I'm kind of convinced that the sponge makes a difference because it keeps the layer you're applying really nice and thin, and I think that plays into the staying power. But here's the concealer, and the concealer's gonna, you know, amp things up. I have this in the shade 330 Ivory. So a little dot in here, a little goes a long way. And this is brand new, so like quite a bit is coming off in that dot, even if it just looks like a small dot. And before I get in with the beauty blender, I'll take a brush. I'll use this Morphe M132. Oh, that big old chonk concealer brush. Okay, we're gonna just spread this around. Yes. As you can see, this shade, kind of brightening, kind of contrasts with my foundation shade, but it's all gonna come together here. So I'm stamping it in, I'm dabbing it in with that Beauty Blender sponge. And I was just really, really impressed seeing my skin late in the day. And I don't think Shelby Ann even talks a whole lot about the longevity of this look, but more just how if you follow all her steps, when you see the face in the end, you think that could be a filter, but it's not. That's her big selling point on her face routine. But I'm also thinking, wow, this wore well on me for a long time. And I might be crazy, but I feel like the L'Oreal True Match is less coverage than the True Match Hyaluronic Tinted Serum. That also has a teeny bit of glow, but like an overall not too dewy finish. But like I would have to use more of the True Match to equal the coverage I get with the tinted serum. I'm not really saying I love this more because that one lasts beautifully on me too. But I was just kind of realizing with how these products made it through the day yesterday, I just like respect, you know, I respect those recommendations, and I think I could see myself enjoying the True Match foundation a little more than I did in the past because of what I've realized with this. They come together nicely. I got beautiful coverage on my skin. I'm gonna set it, you know. But yeah, good going L'Oreal. And they're having a big renaissance with this stuff because what I'm seeing on my feed is not just Shelby Ann talking about it, but all these people doing their hauls, going into the drugstore, getting exactly what she said to get for the whole face routine, and they're buying out this stuff and they're buying out this stuff. True Match is definitely having a renaissance right now, and I can kind of see why. Here's another point, another bullet point on my list before I get to setting stuff and moving on. If you forget to use a lip sleeping mask at night and you think, oh, sleeping's in the name, so I guess I missed the boat on that. No, just put it on in the morning. Put it on toward the start of your makeup routine, and it can sit there until your lip product goes on. Or maybe it stays on and then you add in lip liner or something. I have like 4 different lip sleeping masks right over here, and I would have to say I'm better about putting them on in the mornings than I am at night. I've got the chocolate one from Laneige, I've got my caramel apple from Laneige, watermelon Laneige, and this sweet daisy one from Wallace. I've moved on and done a few steps since you saw me last. I did an M Cosmetics contour stick in the shade Terra. I topped that off with the L'Oreal Infallible Bronzer in medium. And now my next point that I would like to make, my next thing I would like to discuss is never turn down a hot pink blush. Maybe you have one sitting in your collection, maybe you're just seeing one being sold. This is the Cloud Crush one from Too Faced, the blurring blush in the shade Super Candy Clouds. So they released a couple new colors, and this one is, you know, very bright looking. It's never gonna look like that on your cheeks, number one. Number two, I would venture to say everyone looks good in a shade like this sheared out. Just see it. I got some on my brush there. Maybe you can or cannot tell, but it's there. This is a pigmented blush, this particular like type of blush, you know, it definitely does have pigment, but there's also a little softness to it too. Like it's not scary pigmented, if you know what I mean. But I put this on and would you think like, oh, she's wearing hot pink blush? No, I just look radiant. I look practically maybe even a little sun-kissed by that color. It's hard to put your finger on what you're seeing, but I think it looks extremely natural, a shade like this, even though it looks very unnatural in the pan. Scan your collection, see if you've got something that just looks really bright, and then shear that out on your cheeks and tell me it doesn't just totally work. I want your feedback on this, truly. I think it gives a lively rosiness that just a dusty rose blush, granted I love that tone too, but a dusty rose can't quite give it to you this way. The cheeks just look alive and fresh, but it doesn't even look super makeup-y. I just think a hot pink blush is so fun. And another toned down option of this would be the one that's just called Candy Clouds, and it's a little softer. But here I am today, you know, I'm in this maroon short sleeve shirt. I don't have to be earthy with the color use. I'm using something hot pink, and yet that just works. It just totally works. I put on some highlighter. It's this one from Laura Mercier. Does she still make this highlighting powder in Rose Glow? It's intensely glowy. It's like it's got just a little softness mixed in. I don't know. I kind of applied too much of it, frankly, but I'm okay with it. And then I did my brows and I did my eye look. I used this little duo from Clinique. It's called Like Mink. And I took that bronzy brown and I just went to town in the outer corner with that and then put the other shade in the inner part and called it a day. I used some I Am Determined from the Revlon Maybelline Color Tattoo range across the upper lash line, just right in tight to my lashes and smudgy on the lower lash line. For mascara, I was going to put on another coat of this. My Rimmel Thrill Seeker up top and e.l.f. Lash Extender on the bottom because that's my tubing one. I'll go ahead and put that other coat on here. My other couple of things I wanted to talk about are lip related, so hang on. I feel like I can get by with like 3 coats of this stuff and it does pretty well. Alrighty, so I want to talk about stains and this Teddy Tint. Okay, a little follow-up on the Teddy Tint. This is a product from the Maybelline Superstay range, and as I mentioned it a couple of videos ago, I have the shade Knee High 55. Cute packaging, cute product, really legitimately long-wearing product, so I feel like it can get me through an entire day and I'm seeing that color on my lips still. We got the doe foot applicator, and you put it on and you feel a kind of lightweight, moussey thickness. Yes, the words thick and light can be used in the same sentence, right? It's not like paint. It's not the thinness of just a Superstay matte ink. It's got this thick, moussey, yet somewhat just like the slightest bit more sheer quality to it in the moussiness. And it doesn't do such a full set that you feel dry, but enough of a set that it's not really transferring off a whole bunch, and it's getting through meals and it's being hardcore. So I like it, but it keeps that kind of like, there's a little feeling of thickness on there. And in the last couple days, I've kind of gotten back into my Milani color fetish. It's called Hydrating Lip Stain. And they make me think of a similar thing where they've got this pigment, but this is thinner. I love the shade Mahogany Mommy in this, but this is Rose Rising, and this is another really pretty color. But like you put it on, and it's feeling just a step up from like a water weight type of stain. And you get the shininess, and you'll have that shine for a little bit, but it just feels really light. And when the shine goes away, you do have a lightweight, weightless stain. Here, you have a stain that you feel a little more. Here, it's more pure in the sense of the word stain. Like, once this shine is gone, let's fast forward. You're left with some stained color, and that'll vary depending on the depth of the one you chose. This is probably one of the softer ones. And if I had that on longer, it would stain even a little bit darker. But while I like this, and I think this is a very solid staying power product, it kind of caused me to look back into these, rediscover these, and think, I love how weightless these are, you know? I love how I can go to the end of my day and I have an even stain from these just still hanging around on my lips, and you could just kind of go with it, you know, and it doesn't feel as much as this. This gives you that, like I said, moussey thickness that really doesn't bug me, but I'd almost prefer it be like this. Also, I want to talk about creamy lip liners. Oh, this lip liner is so creamy, it just glides on. Well, is it setting? Is it not setting? Then basically all a creamy lip liner is a liner-shaped lipstick. I'll repeat that. All a creamy lip liner is a liner-shaped cream lipstick. You know? What does a cream lipstick do? It doesn't last that long. Even if it's applied in a really precise way, it doesn't last all that long. You need a lip liner that's going to be a little bit on the dry side and a little bit more clingy onto the lips, you know? I'm talking about Revlon Color Stay, which still has a decent glide for me, honestly, but it's not as flat out just creamy as the e.l.f. Cream Glide, or even, I know these are popular, but the Maybelline Lifter Liner. It's a beautiful shade. The shade called Big Lift, is that the one I have? It's nice, it looks pretty, and I like all the colors I have in this. I have the Baddest Beige, I have the mauve one, I've used a lot of them. Why is my mauve one down to here? Well, they're very, very creamy, and they're basically just cream lipstick. Applied in a defined way. Maybe you can get it on there and get a much more defined, pinpointed look out to the edges with it because it's smaller than a lipstick bullet, but I would venture to say it's just a cream lipstick put into a pencil shape. And I have something here from LA Colors. It's probably as cheap as it comes, 98 cents or something. Lip liner pencil, shade is Natural. It's a little bit more on the dry side, and you know what? It would outlast these. What else outlasts them? Like I said, Revlon Color Stay, that's my kind of top of the line. Longwear lip liner that really has some clinging ability. The Hard Candy Instapout ones are also very good about that. I would say the Buxom ones are pretty good about it, as are these Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencil Extremes. Those are pretty hardcore too, but just be a little cautious when you're hearing somebody rave to no end about how creamy and buttery and smooth and using those kinds of adjectives to describe a lip liner, because what you're getting is a very defined cream lipstick application, and you shouldn't expect really long wear, and you shouldn't expect it to, you know, not drift out into the little tiny crevices and lines and little tributaries that are going out around your lip. You gotta use something long wearing. I'm gonna put a classic long wearing one on today, probably the first one you should reach for if you're hearing what I'm saying and you're thinking, yeah, I need a lip liner that actually stays. And a lot of times that is the goal. You know, we're wanting a lip liner because, gosh, I can wear that under my glosses and it gives me the look of fullness of color and then also some added staying power underneath. And also it can be that thing that's going to define your lips. You want them so defined, but you don't want bleeding, drifting. Well, then you don't want world's creamiest lip liner on there. Okay, I love that look always. I love that tone. And then this is just my last thing in the video, and it's not like a revelation or anything really useful. I don't know. It's from Glossier. They have an espresso balm.com. I love coffee scented stuff. Give me a coffee scented candle, like any kind of product. That's really putting that scent out. I love it. And this is kind of brownish. Check it out. I love the texture of a balm.com, but you get a sheer brown kind of. I'll swatch it on my hand too in case you can't really tell with the lip liner on. Why am I this way? Like, why am I craving a color like this just as it's springtime? I'm so fall to my core, but I love the color, I love the feel, I love the smell. Let me swatch this out for you. It's thick. And by the way, Glossier now has this little applicator on the end of it, but pretty significantly brownish, wouldn't you say? Pair that with a lip liner, a long wearing lip liner, and you're gonna have a very complete look that's gonna wear well and just enjoy that coffee scent. Just the surface of the lips looks so creamy and nice, but like not overboard on the shine either. It's kind of funny. Why do I even have this? Are you thinking, Em, did you go doing another Sephora order? I just repurchased that mist for Belle that she likes so much, the Sol de Janeiro. She refuses to wear any other kind of body mist, but the Sol de Janeiro, I think it's the number 40, and we ran out. And I promised her I'd get her another one. And so I replaced that, and I was trying to be good and only get that because I really didn't have any other needs, and I just didn't have anything from Sephora I was really craving. But then I saw that there's an espressobalm.com. I'm getting that. Here's another revelation. I think I want my hair long again. I just miss the flexibility. Okay, that's the one thing. I like the look of my hair short, but there have been times that I've really wanted to like do something with it, like really curl it up. Sometimes I just want the chance to have really long glam waves, and I'm sure I'll appreciate like this short hair for the summer and whatnot. And it's a little longer than it was. It is growing out, and it's definitely where I can easily pull it into a little ponytail, which I love. But this is how I am. Like, the reason why I don't just stay short all the time, like I have an era of shortness, and then once it's grown out, it's like, yeah, by that time I was ready for it to be long again. It's just how I roll. I like it both ways. We're allowed to be that way, right? Like, we don't just have to declare, I have short hair now and that's the only kind of hair I'll ever have. You can switch. It's gotten really light out. The sun is coming up earlier, but that's kind of pretty in the background. That's kind of the whole reason why I have a window back behind me in my background, because I think that's cool. But I'm gonna stop talking now because I do have other things I need to do this morning. Thank you for listening to me. I hope you enjoyed. Did I get to everything on my list? Yes, I did. Thank you again. I'll see you soon. I love you. Bye.